What is up, everyone? Welcome to whatever this show is called. I don't know what it's called. Guys, here's the deal. I'm always telling you that you should be interviewing people and the power that it brings to both your brand and the brand of the person you're interviewing. And I've been so focused on my podcast that I've been interviewing anybody live on social media in forever. So, Michelle, Berman, Mikel, what up?
Hi. I feel like you should call the Facebook Live like only cool people allowed show.
Well, then I would have to take myself out of this show and just let it be you. And so I don't want to call it that. Maybe we'll call it like the decent guy and really awesome girl show. Maybe we'll call it that.
But then what if it's a really awesome guy or not an awesome girl?
Well, I don't know. People are going to stop watching if we don't actually bring value to their lives. So, guys, what are we doing today? We are here because Michelle has become an incredible friend of mine. We actually met in a clubhouse.
So cool.
So the power of social media. We met in a clubhouse, and you are kind of like a wizard of Instagram. Am I allowed to call you that?
I would say so. And if you want to come up with another name, cool, but I will take that. The Harry Potter.
People love to throw the word expert around. People love, to call people ninjas, and like that's all that stuff is just so lame. So I think I like wizard. Wizard's cool. And so, guys, here's why I have Michelle here. We actually, her episode on the top of mine. I don't even know the name of my own podcast. What is happening right now? You know what, guys? I haven't had a haircut in 5 weeks, and I am stressed. And so I think it is just making everything I do terrible. And so I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. I don't even know the name of my podcast. The Social Media Mindset Podcast. That's the name of it. And so our episode goes live tomorrow. And I thought, let's just jump on and talk a little bit about IG, Instagram, for those of you old school that aren't down with the abbreviation. Let's talk about it before our episode comes out tomorrow, which is going to be incredible. And so I already have a bunch of questions, Michelle. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Drum roll. There you go.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Number one, what should the number one goal be for a realtor's efforts on Instagram?
Do you want me to just go right into my answer and then like rapid fire?
No, I mean, we can go like this video, we can go 20, 30 minutes. So like if you want to give a little bit more of an expanded answer, go for it.
Love it. So this is a really good question. So whoever asked it, thank you for asking that.
I came up with this, so you're welcome.
Well, Kyle, you're awesome. You already know that.
Thank you.
So this question, I love it. There isn't one magical, fairy, perfect, awesome, amazing thing, right?
Okay.
Really, what Instagram is a combination of doing a lot of little things well. And I think that-that's the big problem, right? A lot of times we get into doing social media, and I know, Kyle, for you on the Facebook side, you see this all the time. You get that like paralysis analysis of like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing everything, so I'm doing nothing. But when it comes to Instagram, the number one thing I would say, if I had to pick one, would be focus on finding people with shared interests and creating relationships. If your content sucks, that's fixable. If you're not consistently posting in stories, that's fixable. If your captions aren't formatted correctly and so they look like a jumbled mess, that's fixable. If your hashtags aren't working and you're like, why am I wasting my time with this? That's fixable. But the one thing that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, is what we say around my office. The one thing that you can't do unless you actually or one goal you can't accomplish unless you actually do it, is creating conversations that lead to relationships like what you and I have right now, Kyle. I mean, I would say in the space of social media, I've never met somebody that I have a more powerful relationship with, aside from maybe one other person. But I would say for the power of what the platform does, the power of Facebook, the power of Instagram, really, regardless of what platform it is the ability to connect with like-minded individuals that share these interests of, I want to help you, and you subliminally want to help me because of that. And that can turn, for a realtor, that can turn into buying and selling multiple houses and being referred to multiple other people. And I've seen so many agents that we've worked with get referrals from people like directly in their DMs, even though they haven't done a deal with that person yet. Right. So let's say you and I were in the DMs and I'm a realtor and you reach out, you're like, hey, I might want to buy a house, but I need like 6 months or so. My credit score sucks. But hey, I want to refer you to this person because I think he's ready to go now. You've never done a deal with me, but you already have this relationship with me. So, and you already feel like I'm an authoritative enough person based off of our interaction and our content and all that stuff, all the other little things we talked about, that you just referred me to somebody else already. Right. And that's the power of doing it. So focusing on creating relationships and starting conversations should be your number one priority, regardless of all the other stuff.
I love it. So good. So good. And the problem ends up being social media can be navigated so selfishly. And if we're not careful, we'll just go try to use social media to just kind of hound people and just send, 100 DMs out a day and hope one sticks. But you're right. It's all about the relationship. And so, I agree. Not that you need my agreement, but I think that was an incredible answer. Let's go to the second question. Number 2, stories versus posts. Is one better, and why or why not?
Was this your question or was this someone else's question?
I made up all these questions because these are questions that I get asked all the time.
I love it.
But you're the expert of Instagram,
yeah,
so
I know,
so I'm deflecting to you.
You got some smart question askers on your side over there. I love it. I'm also going to give you a hard time because you didn't tag me in our live video. FYI.
Oh, look at this! Somebody said, "Preach."
Oh, I love that. I did go to church yesterday, so maybe I'm just a little fired up on it.
Hey, also, you can't tag through StreamYard, so that's like one of the. So like, I'll go back and tag you after, but yeah, I can't tag you.
Like email StreamYard after this and yell at them because that's rude.
Probably. So back to stories versus posts.
Yeah. Great question, and neither one of them is better. They both serve independent purposes. Okay. However, they both are necessary, right? Meaning you really can't just do one or the other. They really both need to be happening simultaneously. Now, what I would do to answer this question more specifically is kind of tell you what the difference is and allow somebody to hear that piece of it. So stories, I love stories so much. For those of you guys who are unfamiliar with that piece of the platform, basically when you log into Instagram, and you see all of the rainbow circles that pop up on the top of your screen around somebody's profile photo. Those are stories. So those are like your day-to-day pieces of content that people are posting. They go away within 24 hours if you want them to. You can add them to highlights later, or if you want to keep them around forever. But stories really are like the Snapchat of Instagram. Yeah. And so whenever I say, Instagram's like 6 platforms in one, stories is one of those 6, right? Being the Snapchat.
Yeah. So
version.
break that down real quick. So when you say Instagram is 6 platforms in one, break down like how that is the case.
Yeah. So Instagram has so many functions and pieces to it that allow you to do a lot of what you would do on a bunch of other platforms, all within one space. So highlights, for example, on your Instagram, which are the little circles underneath your profile photo or bio, if you will, that stay forever. That's your new website, right? So now all of a sudden you don't need a website like you did back in the day. Your actual stories themselves, which go away in 24 hours, are Snapchat, right? Reels is this really big popular thing. buy TikTok. I don't need the app anymore, right? Because I can do the same thing on Instagram. People still love TikTok. I'm not dissing TikTok. I'm just saying you can do it on Instagram.
You heard it here first, guys. Michelle hates TikTok.
I didn't say that.
Put it in the headlines. Put it in the headlines.
And then YouTube, right? YouTube is typically a longer form video piece, which is great for building and developing subscribers to keep coming back. Instagram has IGTV, which is the same exact thing. Being able to go live on Instagram in Instagram stories is the same thing as being able to go live on Facebook. Your feed posts on your Instagram is basically Facebook and Pinterest mixed together, right? Why did we love Pinterest so much back in the day? Because it was all visual and the sharing of images that attracted us. And then when we clicked it, we went to the website or the blogger or whoever. And on Facebook, it's mostly words, right? And all you did was smush the two of them together and you get Instagram feed. So Instagram allows for that person who feels like I don't have time to do every single one of these platforms, to do one of them and to do one really, really well, because it allows you to do all of them. LinkedIn is a big popular one. And I would say that guides, which is the new thing on Instagram that most people don't really know about yet. I don't think it's going to, or at least it hasn't taken off. Maybe it will. But guides, in my opinion, is kind of more of like your newsletter slash, your magazine that you would put out, or like your postcards for you agents who would send them in the mailbox and that type of thing. That's what guides really is now. And it's on Instagram. So,
so it's so much stuff. Right. It's exhausting for us to do this for a living, much less teach realtors and loan officers how to also run a business and do this. So what's your advice? Like, posts are naturally, I think, they've been around the longest.
Yeah.
For the realtor or LO that's listening, that they're not really using stories at all. What's your tip to them to get started? Like, what's one of the easiest things they could start doing to kind of begin to fill their stories with at least something to then be able to build on?
So the absolute easiest thing that takes no work whatsoever, with the exception of hitting a button that looks like a little arrow or paper airplane, is to share other people's content in your stories, right? That takes no new work of your own. You're sharing content that is funny to you or that seems relevant to you. Maybe it's an inspirational quote. Kyle, I love what you do every morning. You put a piece of prayer or some kind of scripture from the Bible in there. That's a screenshot. It takes 2 seconds, right?
Yep.
And it's not your original content, but at the same time, you're actively showing up there. Now, the other thing I do, and it's kind of like a fun little tip that I give clients who are struggling with taking collateral, right? Meaning like taking photos, documenting things, is set a timer on your phone for every 2 hours throughout the day. No matter what you're doing, when that timer goes off, take a picture of it. You're standing in line, you're in the drive-through at Starbucks, take a picture. Getting my daily cup of cup of Joe or whatever you want to say.
I love it.
One thing I try to do is, pictures of my coffee in the morning, pictures of date night. Yesterday, I didn't think that this was that cool, but apparently it was cool. Yesterday, I cleaned my entire fridge. Like, I took everything out and cleaned all the shelves and made it perfect and amazing and pretty. And for a girl who's in that kind of almost nesting mode, I would say, being pregnant and all, I was like, this is awesome. This feels so good. And it was so satisfying afterwards. But I got so many DMs from other ladies about that. Right. And all it was a stupid picture of my fridge clean. But that's the mundane, the mundane of our life that, man, people that's what other people are doing. Or most likely that's what other women that are connected to you aren't doing, but have thought about doing. And so your story motivates them to go, okay, gosh, dang it, I'm going to go do it too. Right. And now every time they look at their clean fridge, who do they think about? They think about you. Hopefully.
Right. That's now until it gets dirty. And then maybe they won't think about you anymore. But it's so powerful.
I got some fun DMs from wives who are like, do you think your husband will notice? Or, something along those lines. And I had one lady who said, I refuse to do that because my husband will mess it up intentionally in like 2 minutes. And so we just had fun conversations about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's to your point, it's how we create connection. It's how we say me too, or crap, man, I've been meaning to do that and I haven't. And to elevate that, if I may, right, to kind of what your next level might be, especially for the real estate space, you know, and the loan space kind of simultaneously. But for the realtors directly, what I would say is focusing on showing that you're active in your community is a huge part of that. And maybe that's tier 3, right? So tier 1 being sharing other people's content, tier 2 being the mundane day-to-day things that create commonality, and then tier 3 being like, hey, I'm actually out in the community helping people buy and sell real estate. You know, taking a picture at the inspection, doing a quick poll in your stories about, I'm showing this house, how much do you think it's listed at? Like just dumb stuff to us that to our audience encourages engagement, which is really what we're after.
Michelle, our listeners and watchers, they have to remember. I was working with one of my coaching clients the other day who is about to be 60. He's been a loan officer for 20 years. And I asked him the other day, I said, Joe, I said, before COVID, how often would you walk into a Starbucks, walk into a coffee shop, walk into a restaurant, and just randomly bump into someone that you know that led down the road to a loan? And he said regularly. And I think this is what we have to understand about the way social media works now is it is how we casually bump into people in this new day and age.
Yep.
And so just like if you and I bumped into each other, if we lived in the same town, our conversation is going to be so boring. Oh my gosh, how are you? How's your husband? You're going to ask me how my wife is, right? I'm going to ask you how that baby's growing in your belly. You're going to ask me how my kids are. Like nothing crazy is going to get talked about. It's the basic things that happen when two people that know each other connect. And so we've got to create opportunities for that on social. And we have a question from the audience. So Jennifer says, I'm a realtor. How often should I post to stories and what % should be business? Same question for Instagram posts.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What would you say to that?
That's an amazing question. And thank you for asking it. So stories, I tell people every single day, 5 to 7 pieces of content. And my one big homework assignment to you, Jennifer, if you're going to go spend today working on this, is one of those 5 to 7 needs to be a video of you talking or a picture of your face, right?
Love
Meaning, who is Jennifer? What does Jennifer sound like? What are Jennifer's mannerisms, etc.? Because that's something that matters, right? One thing I can tell you, Jennifer, to piggyback off this, and I know Kyle wants to add to it, but when I met Kyle in real life,
I was just telling you that I'm taking a selfie right now. That's going to go in my story.
There we go. But when I met Kyle in real life, I had already heard him talk. I already knew what his mannerisms were. I already knew a lot about him prior to our first initial meeting because of that, right? Because he was consistently showing up in stories as Kyle, and not just pictures of things versus him. Now, as far as feed, and then I'm going to answer the business personal rule. So how often should you be posting Instagram posts? Personally, I post 5 days a week. I don't post on Saturdays or Sundays.
Oh my gosh, that's so many.
That's me.
I'm just acting like everybody that's watching. I don't think that.
Okay, good. I was going to say, I know you don't, but
no, I think that's great.
So I would say I post 5 days a week. We tend to teach our clients and students out the gate to try to focus on daily in the beginning, just to build up a presence. Especially if they have no presence to begin with whatsoever, and they're trying to ramp it up. But I post Monday through Fridays with the exception of Saturdays and Sundays on special days, right? So like my husband's birthday this year happens to fall on a Saturday. So I'm going to post on Saturday because it's that for him. It's his 30th birthday, and he would be mad if I didn't post for him since he doesn't have Instagram. But that's my take on it. Now, the business personal percentage, right? There's no perfect percentage, but here's what I say. And before I forget, on Saturdays and Sundays, you still need to be posting 5 to 7 stories per day. So Saturdays and Sundays are not off days on stories. If anything, those are more important than the rest of the week because you don't have feed content either, right? At least for me. So the business personal piece, right? A lot of people will throw out like the 80-20 rule. I don't think that applies. What I think it is there's really 3 to 4 pillar pieces of content. And if you pretend you have a 30-day content calendar, I tell people about 10 of your 30 posts are going to be business related anyway, meaning you're posting a listing, you're showcasing a closing of some kind, whatever. So those 2 types of content will have call to actions for if you have questions or if you want to go schedule a showing or if you want to see this house, blah, 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 reach out to me, send me a DM. Every single thing else that you put out should be just you adding value to your audience, or asking creative questions that encourage engagement that have nothing to do with business, right? I posted one the other day of like, what's your morning routine? Because my dog and I sit outside every morning with coffee because it's so nice in Arizona right now. And I just said it's the perfect 10 minutes of my morning to get my day ready and to feel good about going. So I don't think it's 80-20. I think that it falls on different pendulums of that.
I love it. And guys, first of all, Jennifer, thank you for asking that question. If y'all have other questions, put them in the comments. If I think they're valuable, I will put them on the screen for Michelle to go in on, because you've got the expert, or the wizard, as I like to call her, right here, right? Because we're about to get in. My next question is about, right? You have 2 women sitting over your shoulders that are a part of your business that are incredible in their own right, because you run something called the Instagram Power Method. And so my question is, there are so many influencers, experts, right, that all have a course, that all have a program, that all have this, that all want to teach you how to do blah, 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 whatever they're going to teach you. What separates the IG Power Method from other programs in your opinion?
My opinion, and I'm the creator, but I've also built the program based off of my own personal journey of building a following and a career off of selling in my DMs. But the biggest number one differentiator, in my opinion, there's really 2, but the one is that every single thing that we do is based and rooted. I put those 2 together.
I like it. I like combining words.
Yeah, that's fine. Based and rooted in psychology, right? So it is all about who is the person you're trying to attract, where does the person you're trying to attract hang out, and how do we connect with them so that we can generate these very authentic relationships. And now the mechanism, right, in this case is Instagram, in which we're using. But if somebody who's listening is like, I'm never going to use Instagram ever, but I still want to learn from Michelle because of everything she just said, you're still going to get so much out of the program. Why? Yeah. Because it's rooted in how to create a stronger relationship virtually with someone. And even if I'm going to only meet people in real life person, that handshake that you're going to have with somebody in real life for the first time, when you describe what you do and how you do it and the business model that you have, is going to be stronger and better because of what the homework assignments are that we put you through. So that's the number one thing. And then the second thing I always say is, I'm not a title rep trying to be a social media expert. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? But that's just not me.
Right.
I don't work for a mortgage company as a full-time job with a social media gig on the side. I'm not any of those things. This is all we do, right? We eat, breathe, sleep Instagram every single day. And for us, that really helps us connect to the platform, meaning it's our job to stay on top of trends. It's our job to stay in front of things that happen, because that's what people are paying us for, right? Their job is to go sell real estate or get somebody locked into a home loan, right? And our job is to solve the other problems for them. So I would say those are the 2 big things, but number 1 being the psychology base.
It's incredible. And so guys, we're not done. We've got another question from the audience, which I'm about to put up. And then I have another one final question. Guys, go look up. I've been scrolling this across the bottom a little bit. Right, you can see it on her screen. Berman social media.
No, backwards. Berman Media Social.
Oh yeah, Berman Media Social. Yeah. So I was like, wait, so it's written right. I just said it wrong.
Yeah. You said it backwards.
So there we go. It is correct. I just said it the wrong way. But guys, go look up Michelle. Go follow what they're doing, because I'm telling you, there's plenty of people out there that can just teach Instagram at a high level. But guys, Michelle and her team, through the IG Power Method, y'all broke it down into tangible pieces that actually make it doable for people, which is what I'm blown away by. And so it's not fluff. It's not just regurgitating what you've watched other people say. This is the real deal, guys. And this is why we're friends. And this is why you like, she's on here and someone else isn't. And so I can't wait to see who goes and signs up and gets more involved with what you guys are doing, because they need to be taking their Instagram to the next level. And so, we have two more questions from the audience. So first, Sarah says,
hi, Sarah.
Do reels have to be live, or can you use a previously recorded video? I'm assuming live is meaning like, do you have to record in the moment?
Yeah, right? No, I love that. And Sarah is from Pivot, Kyle. I don't know if you caught that.
What's up, Sarah?
From Pivot. That's why I was like, what's up, Sarah? So, and she actually called me out the other day because I did a Facebook Live and I was wearing my Pivot shirt and she noticed it. So cheers to that. But the answer to your question, you can record them directly within the app and save them as a draft and post them later on when you're ready to use them. I have done that multiple times. My assistant, Marissa, who's sitting behind me, she's kind of like a Reels ninja for us. And she helps come up with ideas and ways to do them more interactively based off trends and things that are happening. But a lot of the times, like, I will have a scheduled day for a reel. And so I'll record it live because like my hair's done today or whatever. And then I'll use it later on my scheduled day. So as far as being previously recorded, don't record it in your camera roll, Sarah, and then try to add it, just because it's harder to get your music and some of the other things that can be done, but it's a kind of a tech nightmare. So do it within Reels and then just save it as a draft and don't actually post it live at that exact moment if you're not ready.
Great question, Sarah. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching. I've also had some people that I've just follow on like TikTok and on Reels say that they'll build their Reels or their TikTok out like in an app like InShot, and then load it in. So you could do it that way as well if somebody wanted to.
Yeah, especially because like TikTok has better music in a lot of cases, or some of the trendier songs. So,
all right. We have another question from the audience. Jennifer also asks, is a social media calendar a must in order to stay consistent?
No, it's not a must. Is it a highly recommended so that you don't fall off and it's easier to plan content in advance? Yes. We teach content calendars, but one of the things that I say to people is your content calendar should not be based off one of those freebies you download off the internet. Yeah. Why? Because they're not customized to you and to your audience. I was on a coaching call this morning with one of our private coaching students who said something very similar. She's like, well, I have all these ideas for types of content. Where do I put them? What days should they go on? And that's a perfect example, right? Because for her, we're not doing traditional testimonial posts. Why? Because she has crazy cool stories of closing gifts and things that she does for her clients after the fact, after they become a client. Like for the 1-year house anniversary, she always does something. This morning was a lady's move-in day to her new house, one of my client's buyers. And so my client showed up to her house this morning at like 10 in the morning, her time on the East Coast, with 2 bottles of wine because the lady happens to be a wine lover, right? And so she's documenting that stuff and using it as, or in place thereof, testimonials. So when you're creating a content calendar, it needs to be customized to you. It needs to be something that's very personal, because downloading a freebie content calendar off the internet is typically a stocky or type, stock image type, post a tip Tuesday. Like, I just think it's crap, to be honest.
Yeah. And I think Jennifer, you have to know yourself. I've never worked off of a calendar personally, but in my head, I kind of have an idea of like what I want to talk about every day. And so it works for me. But some people, you need that regimen schedule. And so you just need to do what's best for yourself. Try a calendar if you haven't and see if that helps you become more consistent, be more open-minded in the type of content you're doing because you're now being consistent, and it might be the best thing you ever do. So let us know, Jennifer, how it works for you. So here's my last question for you, Michelle. Sure. And then I have to go get lunch for my family. So
I forget you're 2 hours ahead of me.
That's right. Yeah. So you're still drinking coffee. I'm about to go get coconut shrimp out of a food truck. So here it is. Spammy versus authentic comments. Because this was a post you did recently on Instagram. And so break this down for us. Because we tell people, you and I both as social media experts, teachers, whatever, right? We tell people you've got to be engaging. You've got to be committed to that. And so then we watch a lot of people just put thumbs up on comments and put hearts on comments. And in their mind, right, that's them checking it off the box. Yay, I engaged today. But that's not what you would coach and teach inside of the Instagram Power Method and just anybody you're going to talk to about Instagram. So talk through the difference between spammy versus authentic comments.
Yeah, and to give credit where credit's due, this post came out of the amazing assistant's mind behind me, Sarah. She had originally conceptualized
Way to go,
it.
Sarah.
I know, she's back there. I want to make sure she gets her credit because she wrote that. But we obviously talk about this and we preach it heavily in our program and in our coaching across the board. But spammy comments are exactly what you were describing, right? It's like somebody leaving an emoji, someone saying, thanks for the info. And as a producer of content or as a developer of content, when I see comments like that, or even you guys, when you get comments like that, if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I get those all the time. To me, it's one, lazy, right? Two, it's exactly what Kyle said. It's I'm just checking the box, and cool. But like, what does that do for me? And number three, it tells me that you don't actually care about my content and you probably didn't even read the caption, right? Which leads to the end result of the likelihood of me engaging is basically zero, if you're lucky, right? And the point of doing the comments in the first place is to get people to want to interact with you and to have them potentially ask a question or leave valuable information so that you, the creator, respond and then the conversation builds, right? So spammy comment is exactly the three categories we talked about, right? Leaving an emoji, leaving a very vague thanks for the info or great post, or some of you guys have seen this real spammy comments, which is like the Fox Trader crap, like auto bot content, or auto bot comments. They don't encourage engagement whatsoever. Same thing goes for stories, right? So if somebody sees that enticing little bar of like all the emojis you can leave as a response to a story, if you just do that, right? If you just do the little heart eyeball to my story, I'm not responding to you. I'm just not.
Yeah.
But the difference between an authentic comment, and then I want to make one point at the end of this, but an authentic comment is I read the caption. I can tell that, like, as a consumer of the comments, right? I can tell that you actually put thought into that, or you actually give a crap about my content in the first place, right? And so I'm more likely to engage. Now, an authentic comment could also be something like adding or addressing the question by adding your opinion, right? That's a potential way of doing it, which I think is great. I want feedback on stuff. Like if you have, for example, if you have a comment to leave on a post about a tip I had and you tried it, or maybe you're scared about trying it, say that, right? And that's more authentic to me. And I am way more likely to comment back. Now, here's what I want to say to end that. If you're going to do the thing that Kyle and I preach to all of our students, which is if you're going, or if you want to get engagement, you have to give engagement. And you only have 10 minutes a day to do it. The difference between 4 spammy comments and 4 authentic comments is monstrous. Like what will happen, right? I did 10 spammy comments and I left 10 emoji or 10 one-sentence one-liners where I didn't even read the caption on 10 posts, or I did 5 authentic comments that actually add value to the post, potentially ask a question, et cetera, the amount of engagement in return that you will get, not just in followers, potentially of people seeing your, you leaving that information, but also the new conversations you could come tenfold. It's like having 10,000 followers that you bought off an app versus having 3,000 to 4,000 that are all people who genuinely came to you because they want to be connected to you. What's going to happen, right? And Kyle, you and I both know the answer, but the audience, right, seems to think that, oh, I have more, so it's this vanity metric of more people are likely to engage.
Right.
The opposite.
No, and guys, it comes down to, from a mindset perspective, you have to choose to either go, social media is just going to be a box I check, or social media is going to become a legit way that I create and nurture relationships and then get lead gen from it. And so you just have to pick which way you want it to be. And so I hope, guys, you found value from our conversation. I'm so pumped, Michelle, because tomorrow at like 3 a.m, your episode is going to drop. And so, guys, you can go find it on the socialmediamindset.com. You can go to Apple, you can go to Spotify and go search it. You are going to find it there, but you are going to be blown away by the conversation that Michelle and I had that covered so many different things about all things Instagram. And so if IG is your jam or you want it to be your jam, go listen to this episode. It's going to be incredible. So, Michelle, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a trusted business ally in this crazy world, and for giving me 37 minutes of your time. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. And if I can say one thing, Kyle's podcast is relatively new, right? For those of you guys who are listening, and I have heard and watched just about every episode. And the amount of value that's dropped on this, it's like people pay so much money for that, right?
Yeah.
And people have, and this is free. It's just there ready for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. But the other piece to it is, Kyle, when you and I recorded that podcast, we had never met in real life yet, right? It was still a relationship that had been built virtually. And I almost wonder what it would look like if we did it again.
I know. We will do another one.
Only because our relationship is so much stronger now than it was then. And it's only been, not even 4 months of knowing each other. Yeah. So I think that in general, it's fun to record these with people like Kyle and people who just really care about helping our communities. But 2, learning each other and being able to continue to add value to each other's audiences year after year and time after time or post after post, whatever, is really special. And, when you and I talked about doing this Facebook Live, it was just because, hey, we hadn't done one together in a while. Let's do it. And it turned into being awesome and something that I hope we do regularly. So.
Well, I appreciate the kind words that you have, and I appreciate you. So, guys, thank you for hanging out. I hope you have an awesome rest of your Monday. I'm going to go eat lunch. Some of you are going to go get breakfast, depending on where on the planet you are. And somebody somewhere might be eating dinner right now. I don't even know. This world is huge. So, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.